Hello and welcome to The Carpenter and His Cat. My name's Anthony, I'm the carpenter, and this is Fraser, he's the cat. And he's wearing quite a fetching little collar. You see him there. He's got his own little bow tie on today. So if anybody wants a bow tie for their pets, made by my daughter, I'll put a link in the comments section. So it's a horrible day outside, so I thought this afternoon we'd talk a little bit about fakes, chairs and tables. So there's one book I can highly recommend, and I'll do a bit of a search, and if I can find sort of copies for sale, because it's out of print, I'll put the link in the comments. It's by Charles Haywood, my favourite woodworking author. Anytime you're in a second-hand bookshop, Oxfam or something like that, and you find a book written by Charles Haywood, buy it, because it can't be surpassed. The man was a genius, and he kept the woodworking magazine growing through the Second World War. Sadly, the woodworking magazine packed up recently, but it's been going since 1901. Anyhow, this book, Antique or Fake, you might think, oh well, it's just a book about how to spot a fake piece of furniture, and it is, but it provides all the information about how furniture was made, all the techniques, and it goes into the history of furniture and why furniture looks the way it does today, the designs, etc. It's one book I would run into a burning house to save. Certainly one for a desert island. So while we're talking about fakes and chairs, there's a classic example of a fake chair, and it's the Busby Stoop chair. Now, Busby Stoop wasn't until recently a pub in near Thirsk in North Yorkshire, between Thirsk and Northallerton, and it was a typical coaching pub. It was on the crossroads, major crossroads. Anyhow, this chap called, going down here, Thomas Busby, was a highway robber, and he was convicted for murder, and he was sentenced to death, and he was hung in 1702. But apparently he'd cursed the chair he was sitting on when he was arrested, and it was always known from then as Dead Man's Chair, and quite a sort of a folklore sort of came around this chair. So the curse was, if you sit in it, you're going to be dead, and a number of people had over the years sat in it and come to an untimely end. Whether it was coincidence or not, we don't know. However, it was decided to donate the chair to Thirsk Museum, and it's there today if you want to go and see it. But when it was examined by a chair expert, it was found that it had been machine made, machine turned, instead of using a pole lathe, which would have only been the only way of manufacturing a chair previous to 1702. So it was a much later chair, about 138 years after the death of Thomas Busby. So that's an example of a piece of fake furniture. So what I want to do now is, I've got a few chairs here. I think we see Fraser is sat in that one there. He's guarding the treats. Now, this is a genuine chair from our house here in Yarm, and would have been contemporary with 1702. And you can tell that it's, you've got a piece of elm seat for the seat, which is cross-grained, and then you've got steam bent sort of back rail, and then all these spindles. And this is definitely handmade. You can see a lovely bit of scratch work around here. That's done by a simple tool called a scratch stock. Now, I've done videos on the scratch stock, so if you want to sort of seek them out, or if you want a bit more information, put it in the comments. I'll make another video about the scratch stock. It's a very useful tool, very cheap to make, very good if you're doing furniture restoration, because basically you can actually cut the profile of the cutter to any mould you want, and you're probably very unlikely, if you've got a piece of antique furniture, past the moulding's missing, that you'll be able to pick it up off the shelf. So the other chair I want to show you, which has been in my family, it belongs to my father's grandmother, my father's mother, and there is a story behind it, which unfortunately I can't remember, but I know it came from America, and it's made from American, we'll come to it in a minute, the timber, but it's not as old as it looks. Basically, it was made in a factory, because I know when I took them apart a few years back to restore them, because they were getting a bit, all these joints are not mortise and tenon, they're actually doweled. So yeah, definitely not a genuine one, though it's got a bit of the patination, and for most people you'd walk past it and think that's an antique chair that was handmade, but definitely a factory made chair. Now, I don't think this one here will fool anybody, because it is repro furniture, probably at its worst. I don't think it even pretends to be sort of antique, but what I want to point out is I don't actually have a Regency chair at hand, but I want to talk about a little bit about how Regency chairs, the design came about through the death of Admiral Lord Nelson. So there was it's where we have the sabre legs, the curved legs, and that they were sort of to commemorate or to reference the fact that sabre swords were used in the Navy, and not on this one because it is really a sort of cheap chair. But on the Regency ones, you would have a bit of black inlay, maybe down the leg or along the front rail or somewhere, and that would be in a mark of respect for the death of Lord Nelson. So I will do more on Regency furniture in future videos, because the Regency period is like my favourite period. I personally don't think that furniture, design, art, whatever you want to call it, my personal opinion, I don't think it was ever bettered from that time. But as I say, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But something like this, I doubt very much it would fool anybody, but it's in the style of a Regency chair. Right, that was a fire going well. Right, so this table, there we are. This table here is an absolute joy. It's a tilt table. There we go. And it is definitely genuine, definitely. I picked it up in the Scottish Borders about 10 years ago, and it's you can see the base, the central pillar there, that's all hand turned, and the top is one piece of elm, and it's typical country furniture. And to give you an idea how little furniture sells for, brown furniture these days, I paid £40 for it. Now you couldn't even go into IKEA and get a table for £40. And this is unique. There's not another one like it. You'll not walk into another house and say, "Oh, you've got my chair, my table." It's a joy. It's an absolute joy. The finish on it. People that have discussed the Battle of Trafalgar sat at this table, or the Battle of Waterloo. It's certainly Georgian. It's been around over 200 years. And then later, historical events, Second World War, First World War. But for £40, I've come to the chair I'm sitting on. When I was younger, I had this chair a long time. I was convinced it had come from Ireland, and I thought that's a typical bit of Irish Chippendale made by a local maker. But after a bit of research, I found out that it was made in Italy. But if you have a look at the carved mouldings, absolutely beautiful. And it's probably one of the most comfortable chairs I've ever sat in, really. So it's one I treasure. What we'll do now, we'll go through to the dining room. And we have a Chippendale style two-seater chair there. That's repro. Look closely up to it. It's a very good repro, but it was made in the Far East 20 years ago. There's quite a few of them on the market, but if you were after an original one, I mean, it'd be priceless. And then come to this table here, and although it looks sort of old, it's one I made 15 years ago. It's made of salvaged parts. Found these in a skip, and there's actually the turned newels from a staircase, and I just integrated them in with a top. It was a top I'd made for a client, and unfortunately it split, so I had to make another one, so I had a spare top, but in this case it works perfectly because it's nicely distressed. So that's about it. So we'll see if Fraser wants to say goodbye. There we are. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Fraser. Now he's warming himself by the fire. So thanks for watching the video. I'm sorry it's a little bit amateurish, but at the end of the day I'm a cabinet maker and furniture restorer. I'm not a filmmaker. So as you'll see, as time goes by, I'll get a bit more proficient at making the videos, and I hope you enjoy them all the same. And so if you like this video, please press like, and if you'd like to see more, please press subscribe. So it's goodbye from me, the carpenter Anthony, and Fraser and Bill, who are just warming themselves by the fire. There they are. Okay, thanks and goodbye.